Hello. So I'm here with my tea, which is called Morning Berry. Even though it's not morning, I'm drinking it. It doesn't matter to me when I drink it. It's nice. I drink it whenever I want. Um, but I wanted to discuss something that I've had on my list of video ideas for a while, and I kind of don't really know what my intention with it is. I don't know exactly what I'm going to cover exactly. But it's something that I've kind of wanted to kind of flesh out a little bit in a video in a kind of a free form, chatty sort of style. So I'm going to call this video "Fear of Relationships," I suppose, or something like that. And I had a video up maybe a year ago or 2 years ago or something like that. It's crazy how the years kind of blend into each other. It's hard to kind of have a clear understanding of a timeline, especially in recent years. It's strange. But I had a video up a while ago called "Why I Stopped Looking for New People for Now." And I took that down, but or made it private. But I wanted to kind of maybe discuss some things that came up in that video, and just some thoughts. So I kind of have no agenda with this. I just want to discuss it and see if I can clarify something for myself even by talking about it in a video. And because I felt like making a video, and I have about 5 ideas that I've come up with recently that I want to talk about, and I didn't know which one to do, but this one kind of jumped out at me. And I was actually on my news app, and I actually looked up like making friends as an adult. And I wanted to read articles about that, and I read some articles about making friends as an adult and people's experiences with that. And I find myself kind of every once in a while doing things like that, which maybe I shouldn't do. But I look up things like, making friends as an adult and people's experiences with things like friendships and relationships and making friends and loneliness and isolation when you were younger and how that affects you when you're older and things like that. So when I was talking about why I stopped looking for new people in that old video that I had a while back, I was talking about how I was going through a period where I deleted any app that had to do with meeting people, such as Tinder and things like that. And it was something that I used as a way to sort of cleanse my spirit in a way. And it was a way for me to take ownership and take control of the fact that, you know, maybe it's better at times to take a step back and to be with yourself and not try desperately all the time to find that next special connection or that deep connection with somebody, or just people in general. Find a group or find a person to mingle with or talk to. So sometimes it's important to take a step back. And I think during the making of that video, I was very much in that space. I was trying to take a step back from meeting people because I had also had some negative experiences with people, which is something that's kind of ongoing. And it makes me think, like, is it something to do with my own personality? I have a sort of a side to me that is pretty introverted, and I find it hard to sometimes, fit in or with certain conversations or to understand certain things that are going on around me when it comes to conversations. But in that video, I was talking about, how I deleted Tinder and all that, and I kind of go through periods where I delete these things and then I delete and then I reinstall them and then I delete them again. And part of it is also like this video I'm going to call "Fear of Relationships" most likely. So I think what I find is that it is so anxiety inducing at times when I think, and confusing at times when I think about the idea of being in a new friendship or in a romantic relationship, because it feels like it's going to be an entanglement. And that is something that is, very much psychological, and it's my own fear of getting entangled in some kind of web or some kind of issues with the person, or we might have arguments, fights, and that's something that I find hard to deal with. And so it's like it's just easier to just not get involved. But it's not as easy as that, because every once in a while, it does happen that I make a new connection, or I try to actively look for a new activity where I can maybe meet people, or just look for new people. Right now I'm kind of in between, so I'm kind of looking, but I'm also kind of thinking that maybe, and this might be due to the fear, is that I'm kind of looking, but then I'm also thinking that maybe it's easier or better for me to just be alone and to just have the people that I have right now, and not try to overwhelm myself with trying to find all these new people. So I'm kind of in between right now. But I wanted to discuss this fear because, it sounds like avoidant attachment style. Personally, I think I probably have the disorganized style. And I know that these things are not sort of maybe 100% clear cut. So there are certain things that you would pull from different boxes. You don't have just one box, right? You pull from different places. But when I read about the attachment styles, I think I most likely have the disorganized attachment style overall, or kind of some people would call it fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant. So you kind of have both. So you kind of have the anxious and you have the avoidant, right? It's not like I'm just on one side of the fence or whatever, if that makes sense. So I've had times when I've been, very, very much actively involved in looking for people, and very concerned with anything to do with my social life. And then I've had times when I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to be on my own, or I'm just going to be with the people that I already have, because it's easier, because it's safer, right? Because it's not going to get me into situations where I'm involved with new, scary situations, right? It's a part of myself that is like, when people are like that, they're trying to keep themselves safe. It's a way of keeping yourself safe, and fear of the unknown. But also, I think especially if you've had experiences with, I hope I'm not rambling too much. I think I'm kind of rambling, but like what I want to say now is about sort of these entanglements that we get involved with, right? So sometimes, especially if you've had experiences with people where maybe something that they do or something that you do creates kind of a huge pattern of conflict, then it's like you don't want to get involved in that again, right? And again and again and again. And as we know, we kind of can repeat the same patterns with different people in our lives. And that is something that the avoidant part of me wants to avoid, right? There's a part of me that wants to not get involved with anybody new, because I don't know what that person's going to be like down the line. I don't know what I'm going to be like down the line. Maybe I'll feel like, oh, why did I get involved in this relationship or this friendship? I want to get away now. So there's that constant conflict, right? There's an internal conflict between not wanting to have external conflict. So if you have external conflict with other people because of some kind of patterns going on psychologically, then it's like it makes sense to want to avoid that after a while. You don't want to get involved with the same things over and over. At least some people would be like that. So some people would be very attracted to the same situations again and again, whether consciously or unconsciously. Other people would be more like wary of it. And you can kind of fluctuate between the different sides as well. So sometimes I'm very open to new relationships and friendships, but then other times I'm like very, very, very wary of getting involved in anything that reminds me of anything that has happened previously. And I don't want to get involved in anything unfamiliar or very familiar, right? So either it's the unfamiliarity, but then also the chance of a familiar situation popping up again with somebody. Like, I don't want to have the same conflicts with somebody. And that shows that, there's probably something in that person that is, so take me, for example, like there's something in that person that has to be worked through. So you have to work on yourself first before you get involved in relationships and friendships that are healthy and that don't repeat the same patterns. You kind of have to break the pattern, and that starts with you. So I think while I do believe that, it starts with you, and it's about working on yourself. Sometimes it's almost like it's hard to know where to begin. And so you're kind of in that mindset then of like, well, maybe I would like new friendships or a new relationship or something like that, or get involved with someone romantically and so on, make new friends, make new associations, groups, activities. But then it's like, well, I, on some level, know, let's say, that I haven't worked on myself enough. So then how can I go and look for these people or these things to do that might involve people, right? So it's kind of like, how do I know that I'm ready? And sometimes it is maybe about taking the leap, but it's kind of like the avoidant part of myself is like so wary of having certain experiences with people or repeating certain patterns with people that I'm like just constantly telling myself, well, maybe it's easier to just not attempt to get involved with anybody and just be by myself and hopefully work on myself first and then move on and maybe make new friends and maybe get a relationship and things like that. But there's also something to be said about that. It's natural to not work on yourself and to just get involved in friendships and relationships, because it could take years before we are fully in a place where we are like really healthy, really happy people. So people have a need for socializing and relationships, right? So they don't have time to wait or to kind of, maybe I'm being negative, but it feels like, there's probably people that feel like they don't have time for, to wait 5 years or do 10 years of soul searching and working on themselves and then get involved in relationships and friendships. So they get involved in relationships and friendships that are not maybe fully authentic to themselves because they aren't fully showing up as the authentic version of themselves yet. So they haven't done that work. But we, at the same time, like I say, we have a need for relationships and friendships, right? And socializing. So it's kind of like, well, how do you know when you're ready for that? How do you know when you've worked on yourself enough to get involved in a new friendship or relationship? And that is partly where the fear lies in me, for example, is that like I know that there's so many things that I need to work on in my life, or just there's certain patterns in certain areas that still are very fragmented or unfinished or faulty in a sense, or that I'm still, there's constant conflicts in those areas. So it's kind of like, how do I know that it's okay to be like that in a relationship if I have all these areas that are kind of uncertain or up in the air, right? And every once in a while I make a new connection, whether that is online or in real life. I don't meet that many people, but every once in a while something comes along, and so there's always that mix. And this is maybe because of potentially having disorganized attachment style, but there's always that mix of feeling excited and like, wow, I met somebody new and maybe this can develop into a friendship. Combination of that, and then also thinking, well, like, wow, like I'm actually connecting with another person again, and like who knows what this is going to become. And like, it's that fear of who knows what kind of habits they'll have. Maybe we'll have nothing in common after a while. Maybe we're going to clash after a while, because that has happened to me so many times with people after a while. Or I can't compare to other people's experiences, so I don't know if it's more than average. But from my personal perspective, it feels like I've had quite a few interactions online and offline that are eventually, after a while, they kind of turn out as sort of conflict ridden. And so then that makes me want to take a step back because of that fear of that happening again, right? Like literally it is that. So I think it is about working on yourself, but I think if you're a sensitive person as well, it is hard to kind of like you can't live in a vacuum. And sometimes I feel like it would be easier if I could just be in a vacuum for a year and just like no distractions, no people, and just work on myself for like a year, have absolutely no outside world distractions except the ones that I maybe choose or want, or that are not harmful in any way, or that don't distract me too much. And then I can come out of my like vacuum. I'm kind of like almost imagining this like big glass tube that I'm in, just kind of zoned out, zen for a year, and then kind of coming out of it after a year, and then finding people, and then being ready to mingle and make friends and relationships, right? But that is not possible. We have to constantly be on the go in some way. Like we're always connected. We're always like in the world. We can't just like isolate fully. Most of us probably can't isolate fully to work on ourselves. And like when you're a sensitive person, you get all that energy from like the outside world very easily, and so it influences you and it affects you. So it's hard to kind of stay put on your own path if there's all these other influences coming in from outside of you, right? So how do you work on yourself if you can barely even focus on yourself because there's so much noise and so much influence coming from the outside world? So the media, your friends, your family, people's opinions, like everything just comes into you. And that has been my experience for a while. I've always felt like I take in like influences, and like I take what other people say, and I kind of really, I can't separate myself from all the noise fully. I can't separate myself from other people's opinions fully. I can't separate myself from what friends or family say fully, right? And so it's hard to work on yourself if you're constantly feeling like you need to be in a vacuum in order to work on yourself, but you can't. So you have to work on yourself while there's all this noise around you. And so maybe it is just about kind of going to a room every once in a while and taking that deliberate step to deliberately find quiet time where you can meditate or read or think about something. But then you have to come out of that. You can't stay in that for very long. So then, it's hard to work on yourself so that you can be ready for relationships, let's say, or ready for new friendships, because you can't be in a vacuum throughout that time. You know? So I was just thinking about that. And, I've had a lot of experiences where I feel sort of alienated, or I feel like my interests don't align with people around me, or my conversation topics don't align with people around me. And, it's about adapting as well. But it's like I find it hard to adapt to something that I don't fully understand or connect with. So there's that issue as well. And it's not like I don't have any friends, and but it's always a theme every once in a while in my life where I kind of want to like meet somebody new or have those new connections. And when I think about like maybe getting into a romantic relationship and things like that, I've been in one, but it wasn't serious or anything like that, and that was a while back. But like there is that fear. So this video was going to be about the fear of relationships, which is, I think, due to attachment style, and also, personal experiences, personality, like everything comes together. The experiences you've had with people, and so how that can make you insecure about certain things, right? So I think it's just about, I don't know what it's about. I think it's just about like, yes, if friendships and romantic relationships organically occur, like that's kind of fine with me. But there's always going to be that fear inside where it's like, well, I don't know what this is going to be like, right? I don't know what this person is really going to turn out to be like. I don't know what I'm going to turn out to be like. Maybe I'll have some kind of, reaction to something, or maybe I'll feel like, suffocated in this relationship. Maybe I'll feel like I just want to be alone. Like, freedom and personal freedom is extremely important to me, whether I like to admit it or not. So, but also connection is important to me. So then it's about, well, how do you find that balance then between like personal freedom and connecting with people in a way that you actually feel like you're aligned and you have similar interests, common interests, and similar conversation styles or conversation topics, and you can also learn from each other through your differences. But like, if you're too different, then that can also cause, some kind of conflict, which is then something that makes me uncomfortable. And so you can see that it's this constant like roller coaster, right? It's like a circle. It's like a circular thing. Like, start off being scared of relationships, maybe then you get a relationship or a new friendship, and then something happens that makes you want to, get away from it, and then you maybe lose the friendship or the relationship, and then you want to get into a new one, and it's like, well, maybe I should take a step back, but then I'm lacking that connection. So, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of get some of this out. I don't know if it was maybe a bit too messy. I feel like I went on many tangents, but yeah, I want to leave it at that because the video is getting quite long now for my liking. So if you have any thoughts about my rambling mess, if you have any ideas about this subject, if you have any experiences of your own, leave a comment and leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this and got something out of it, and subscribe if you want more thoughts from me. So thank you for listening, watching. Thanks.